Good morning, everybody. So my name's Dulcie Batt, and I'm here today to give you an introduction to hypnobirthing. One of the roles I have is as a KGH hypnobirthing teacher. Now KGH, it's Catherine Graves Hypnobirthing, run by the wonderful Catherine Graves herself, who's mama of 4, and she has created this incredible system, which I believe in absolutely passionately. And so I'm here to share with you what I've pulled together as a master class. So everything you should need to know to make up your mind whether hypnobirthing is for you or not. So by way of introduction for myself, my name is Dulcie Batt. I am, hello, thank you for the love, Ellie. I am a mama of 4, I'm a pregnancy yoga teacher, I am a KGH hypnobirthing teacher, and I'm an NLP life coach. I'm super passionate about helping women ease their journey through life, and my wish as a hypnobirthing teacher is to empower all you pregnant mamas to have the most calm, positive, empowering birth experience that you will remember forever. Also, I'd love for you to be able to have clarity of mind so that you can make calm, clear decisions throughout the rest of your pregnancy and into your labour and birth. Now, one of the key things with the hypnobirthing sessions that I teach is that it's for birth partners too, so that your birth partner feels ultimately involved in the vital work of giving birth. It's a huge partnership, and it's a really truly shared and loving experience. Now, I have 4 wonderful children. I am blessed with that, and I have had 3 very medicalised births, the first 3, and I remember thinking, I've heard of these women who give birth in a goddess-like state and have this super empowering, enriching, amazing experience, and I've never had anything like that. I would love to taste that. I wonder if that's possible for me, and I heard of hypnobirthing, so decided to give it a go. So birth number 4, Liberty Batt, she was my hypnobirthing babe, and it was just one of life's most transformative experiences for me. I've never felt more empowered and embodied and just completely, absolutely thrilled to bits with my body's ability to birth in that way. And I would love to share that with you. So my only regret, of course, is that I didn't discover hypnobirthing with baby number 1. Who knows how many babies I'd have gone on and had. Right, so let's start with the story of how many women come to a hypnobirthing course. Thanks for the shout out, Zoe. So hypnobirthing course, women will arrive, or women get pregnant, right? They always have in the back of their head that maybe a C-section is a soft option. They see the stars having it, people booked in for the baby. And then they do some research, realise that C-section isn't a soft option, it's major abdominal surgery. And so their hormones do somersaults, as their emotions do. They start to do more research and begin to realise that maybe a natural birth is the best option for her and her baby. But, of course, we are imprinted, our brains are imprinted with so many horror stories of birth. And we humans, don't we love to share the horror stories? So then the mama starts to believe, well, hang on, there's only one way out for this baby, and it's going to be painful. And then at this point, someone might drop in the magical word hypnobirthing, and a door opens, and she does research on the internet, and will go to her partner and say, right, let's give this a try. He might raise an eyebrow and think, oh God, another thing, and is it going to cost us more money? And God forbid, actually, I've even got to come along too. And they arrive. Now, the partners are often super sceptical. They've often done less research than the mum. And we welcome skepticism. I love a bit of skepticism because I want you to be asking questions. I want you to be asking questions. I want you to be super curious about the whole process of your body being pregnant and birthing this baby. What I can assure you is that, and we prove this time and time again, when people arrive skeptical, it's encouraged, but because they then find out that hypnobirthing is based on sound, irrefutable logic, people leave enthusiastic and positive, and the birthing stories you hear are literally heavenly. So, hypnobirthing is nothing new at all. It has been around for absolutely years, used in medicine for years. In 1955, the the British Medical Association declared that there is a place for hypnotism in the effective pain relief in labour, in childbirth. And a study by the Royal Wolverhampton Hospital NHS Trust in 2012 showed that women practicing hypnobirthing were 20% more likely to have a normal birth than those who were not, without medical intervention, than those who were not practicing. So what is hypnotherapy? It sounds woo-woo to some people, doesn't it? And just the word puts people off. What is it? It's simply words. It's words used in a slightly more positive and focused way, so that we can let go of some of the negatives that we acquire in life and replace them instead with positives. Now, anyone can be hypnotised. It's available to everybody. There are two main schools of thought, I would say. One is that, yes, it's practical, it's effective, it helps people overcome fear of spiders or fear of flying. The second, or smoking, for example, it has lots of really practical uses. The second school of thought is that it's totally bizarre, it's a bit woo-woo. People have seen stage hypnosis, people running around quacking like a duck, for example, or, put in a totally trance-like state, and people don't wish to be in that state when they're giving birth. Now, all hypnosis is an altered state of consciousness. It's akin to the state. In fact, we're all in this state twice a day, which is called hypnagogia, which is the state just before we fall asleep at night and when we wake up in the morning. It's this altered state of consciousness. And what it means is that when we are very relaxed, the conscious part of our mind will move to one side, allowing our unconscious part of our mind to receive beneficial suggestions. And our unconscious mind will only receive beneficial suggestions. So we look at the beginning of a hypnobirthing course at all of the fears, all the preconceived ideas, fears, limiting beliefs, issues around birth that people have. And believe me, there are plenty. So we get those out in the open, and by acknowledging them, it's halfway to resolving them. So we express them rather than repress them, we articulate them, we share them. And things come up like unmanageable pain, super long labours, C-sections, stressful environments, medical intervention, induction, many more. The list is long. So we take a look at birth and identify exactly what it is people don't want. And then we look at the facts to enable the mamas to make an informed decision about their birth wishes, which is the name for the old birth plan, birth wishes, so that they can make informed decisions rather than decisions based on assumptions of beliefs that are embedded in fear. So at the end of the course, we then return to this chart that we've made and we work all the way through it again just to clarify that everything's been answered, and those mamas who have done the course are feeling calm, confident, empowered, and totally positive about their birth. So, an introduction to hypnotherapy. So we've said that it's about words. Now there's this great quote by Kipling, which is, "Words are the most powerful drug known to man." And absolutely this is the case. So words can either, as we all know, they can lift you up or they can tear you down. And we've all had experiences of that. So let's look at some examples. I remember when I first had a baby and I'd stopped working in the city, and somebody said, "Do you work or are you just a housewife?" That word "just" was like a killer. When you're pregnant, people will say, "Oh, wow, you're tiny," which could leave you with a fear of dread that the baby's not progressing as it should, or, "Oh my God, you're massive." We've all had these words that tear us down. Now, with hypnobirthing, we focus on the positive, so it's positive words. So you don't want negative birth stories. If somebody comes to you with a negative birth story, be bold to say, "Actually, can I stop you there? I'm just absorbing empowering birth stories before I have this baby." I hope you understand. the other thing is that, you know, let's ask this question, for example. If somebody comes to you and says, have you got any aches and pains? Then you'll start, what will you do? You'll start looking for aches and pains that maybe weren't there 20 seconds ago. So we focus on the positive. We're not looking for the negative. Now, introduction to KGH, which is Catherine Grade's hypnobirthing. What is it? We'll start by looking at what it's not. So many antenatal courses will dump the hypnobirthing in as a form of pain relief. KGH is not a form of pain relief. And the reason it's not is because we work on the premise that pain might not even be there in the first place. And I shall come into why that's the case logically in just a moment. The use of words is important. So, for example, medical jargon, the word like contraction, full of consonants, and it conjures up an image of painful terror in people. Now, a surge is much closer to the truth. These things come in waves, they build, they peak, and then the sensation diminishes down the other way. So in hypnobirthing, we are readdressing our relationship to the word pain. Now, labour is nothing like the pain of breaking an arm or breaking a leg. It is pain with purpose, or it's sensation with purpose. And some people report not feeling any pain at all, just powerful sensation. And you get into the zone where every surge is taking you closer to the delivery of your baby. So it's really purposeful. Now, it's all in the practice. So this is not KGH is also not a bunch of techniques for birth. So you're not learning a load of stuff for you to do on the day of your birth. Far from that. What you are doing is practicing letting go of the fears and negative beliefs that you have around birth every day. And it's this system of letting go, and it's done in preparation. So all you have to do on the actual day of the birth is allow your body, which is perfectly designed, to do the job it was perfectly designed to do. So consider it the absolute opposite of every exam you take. When you take an exam, you study, you cram, you're remembering things to reproduce on the day. This is letting go of fear every day, building confidence every day. So you have utter faith and trust in your body's magnificent ability to do the job it needs to do. Now let's look at the pain continuum as we've brought this word up. Let's think of 0 as perfectly comfortable. Let's think of 10 as writhing around in agony. Now, hypnobirthing will always move us towards comfort. It always makes a difference, and birth is often gentle, drug-free, and much more comfortable. Now, midwives wholly recommend hypnobirthing, and when I did my training in hypnobirthing, I was amazed by the number of midwives in the room. Why are the midwives there? Because they deal with pregnant mums the whole time. We are so lucky to have such an incredible team of midwives all over the UK. They are amazing. I used to think they were just helpful women who were there at the birth, but they are super bright. They do 3 to 4 year degrees. You can ask them any question and they will give you a 20-minute answer stating stats and evidence. They are the guardians of what ifs in births. They know every scenario that might play out. Now, these midwives are amazed at how comfortable women who are hypnobirthing are when they're birthing. They're amazed by how relaxed they are and feel that it's such a privilege to be watching someone so calm and something so beautiful, something so natural, so beautiful. So hypnobirthing, really, I guess it's like organic food, for example. So organic food, before we started messing around with it, hypnobirthing takes the layers off of modern birth and brings it back to how birth should be. Right, we're going to next look at the mind, because the mind in hypnobirthing is super important. Something I'm really fascinated in. Now, we can only hold one thought in our mind at a time. So if I say to you, don't think of a purple kangaroo, I wonder what you're thinking of. We negate the word don't. it's the mind. The mind will. It's very important to focus on this in terms of the negatives. If we say to someone when they leave the house, "Don't forget the milk," they are likely to forget the milk. So we negate the word "don't." So what hypnotherapy, hypnobirthing does for you, it will educate you with everything you need to know about birth so you can make informed decisions, and it's your job then to focus on the positive. Now, the mind, imagine it being like an iceberg. So we all know with an iceberg, you've got the sea, you have the tip of the iceberg above the water. So we're going to differentiate between the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. Now, the bit above the water, this somewhat impressive peak of iceberg, is like the conscious brain. It is large and powerful, and to be treated with the utmost respect. It is responsible for short-term memory. It is linear. It is logical. It is on the lookout for bad situations to protect us from. It's where this fight-flight mechanism kicks in. Now, beneath the surface of the water, as we all know, there is a much larger base of the iceberg, and that is what the unconscious mind is like. Now, that is far larger. It is far more powerful and should be treated with far more respect. So unconscious patterns in our mind allow us to act automatically without introspection. So, for example, we breathe, we blink, our hair grows with no conscious thought whatsoever. It's what's responsible for when we do things on autopilot. So you know when you're driving along in the car and you arrive somewhere and think, how on earth did that happen? You don't really remember the journey. You've been on autopilot. But so that trance-like state is the state we want to get into in the birthing zone with hypnobirthing mothers. Now, if there was an emergency, your feet would slam on that brake in an instant. So you are absolutely switched on, but you are in a trance-like inward state. Now, our unconscious mind contains our long-term memory and our imagination. The beautiful thing with hypnobirthing is that it is working with the powerfully subconscious mind. And it's super logical, which is what I'm going to come on to in a minute. Now, what's very important to discuss is the mind-body effect. We all know that if somebody says something that's a bit embarrassing, we may blush. So we hear the information, we process it as a thought, and it has an effect on the body. If somebody says something really funny, tells a cracking joke, you'll laugh. You won't consciously think, I'm going to laugh, but the unconscious response is to laugh. So the thoughts, so there is this mind-body effect where the mind goes, the body follows. Now, what's really important with the hypnobirthing practice is we listen to hypnobirthing scripts which are specifically designed to help you relax and get into the mindset of a super positive birth. And we listen to them before you go to bed. Why is that? It's because you're in that hypnagogic state just before sleep, and then you have 8 hours of processing time, according to how long you sleep, overnight, listening and processing to the positive, empowering information that you listen to before sleep. So there's a fabulous quote by Einstein, which I would love to share with you. And it's that the unconscious mind is a sacred gift, and the conscious mind is a faithful servant. Now, we have created a society that honours the servant and has forgotten the gift. Hypnobirthing, we are really, truly honouring the gift. Now, let's just backtrack a little. Go into the consideration that birthing actually only really moved into hospitals in about the 1950s. Prior to that, birthing was very real, very much a part of society. Women heard, were exposed to, saw births. That doesn't happen so often anymore. There's more mystery around it. So there's the mystery, there's the negative stories. Women go into hospital, they have their birth and they come out with a baby, and they come out with their story, which they will share. We watch One Born Every Minute. That's how women get their impressions of how birth is. They've seen birth in films, and women are on beds with their legs up, and there's lots of screaming and purple pushing, and there's so much drama, and that drama's become our new normal. The data supports the fact that as birth becomes more medicalised, there is a cascade of intervention. So if you begin to intervene in the natural process of birth, you're more likely to need to intervene more. So let's look at the rates of C-section in the UK. The rates of C-section in the UK are something around 30%. In the States, it's around 40%. If you move farther afield, like the Far East, parts of Africa, the Middle East, 80% is very common. Brazil, 80% is very common. In one private clinic in Dubai, there's 100% C-section rates. Now, don't get me wrong, we are super lucky to not only have this incredible team of midwives, but also an amazing network of obstetricians who can perform these medical interventions as and when is necessary. And when it's necessary in a life-saving situation, thank heavens for it. The problem becomes when it becomes routine. And you can see from those stats that there is routine involved here. Now, let's look at this fact, only 4%, something around that, of babies are born on their due date. And the due date is held as this holy grail for women. A little bit of history in that. It was that decision in terms of when the due date, the maths behind the due date, came from a German obstetrician, Franz Nagel, I believe his name was, in the 1800s, who declared that a pregnancy should last for 10 moons, each moon being 4 weeks. Women are inextricably linked to the moon cycle, and in days before the advent of electricity, our menstrual cycle would be in sync with the moon. So this is what the maths is based on. Now, in the UK, we say that a pregnancy is full term at 40 weeks. In Europe, it's 41. In Kenya, it's up to 43. Now, there is study to show that after 42 weeks, there's an increase in stillbirth. So, of course, we don't want the women to go too far overdue, taking care on the due date. But inductions are becoming more routine. You know, you'll go in for an appointment and you'll be booked in for a routine induction for 10 days, due date plus 10 days. And often women don't question. Remember my comment at the beginning, we want you to question. We want you to question everything and remember your birthing rights. Now, if there is an induction and synthetic oxytocin drip is given, for example, you're not working with the body's natural rhythms. With synthetic oxytocin, with a normal surges, you will have a rest period in between. But with synthetic oxytocin, your body is always in this low-lying tension. So you tire more quickly. If you tire more quickly, you're less able to cope. You're more likely to need an epidural. And if you need an epidural, then other medical intervention, forceps 1-2s, maybe even C-section is needed. So there's this cascade of intervention to be aware of. It's my firm belief that women need to be empowered to restore faith in themselves and their incredible birthing body. When we are pregnant, without any conscious effort on our part whatsoever, we grow our baby from a tiny little cell into a fully fledged child in our tummies. And then we have, there's widespread implicit trust that will be done. So why should we lose the trust when it comes to actually birthing the baby, our body's knowledge and innate wisdom and ability to do that? One thing here that's very important is that the mama feels deserving, feels capable, and really desires this. So that's something we work on and establish in any hypnobirthing course as well. So for the mama to have a burning desire to have the outcome that she wishes is important. Now let's take a look at how other mammals give birth. So anyone who has pets, so we have cats and dogs, never had the pleasure of puppies, but we have certainly had kittens in the family. And cats, you know, when they're pregnant and you know they're due, you'll create a fluffy bed for them and, you know, kind of create what you think is the perfect birthing environment. And then where do you find them? You've lost them for a day or so and they'll be under the bed or they're in the wardrobe. They've found their nesting space, dark, perfect, unobserved, and feeling really in their zone to birth their baby. A farmer will know if he's got a whole pen of sheep, pregnant sheep, the one in the corner who's found a dark spot will be the one who's in labour. Animals won't give birth if they're nervous or feel like they're being watched. Think of tribal women. Tribal women in Africa would go into you know, would be squatting and, you know, take a trusted woman with them, but there's no fuss, there's no bed. It's a primal process. Women in comas. I remember being astonished to hear this. There are women in comas who've given birth and there's no conscious effort that goes into the birthing. There is something called the fetal ejection reflex where your body will do the work and your baby will be born. So how come the picture we see and the horror stories we see are of the shouting, the pain, the being unable to cope? So what we're going to do is look at the logic of hypnobirthing. Now this was a game changer for me. I'm going to show you this picture, which is the muscles of the uterus. I hope that you can see that okay. Now the muscles of the uterus, we have these vertical fibres up at the top. The uterine muscles sit in two main layers, these horizontal ones and these vertical ones. One runs vertically up and over the top of the uterus and one runs horizontally, forming bands or loops encircling the baby and the placenta as they grow. Now these bands of horizontal muscles are thicker and stronger closer to the cervix. The bands are drawn up during labour, causing the cervix at the bottom here to thin and open. Now, during pregnancy, those upper vertical muscles remain relaxed, whilst the tone in the strong horizontal muscles, especially those at the bottom of the cervix, uterus close to the cervix, hold the baby up and in and exactly where it needs to be. During labour, their roles reverse. So working as a pair, much like our biceps and triceps, all our muscles in our bodies work as a pair. So biceps and triceps. Their action draws the baby down the abdomen and out of the uterus into the birth canal. Now, when a woman is calm and relaxed, these muscles work in easy harmony, much like our arm. During a surge, the upper fibres contract and shorten, which draws the inner layer of horizontal muscles and fibres up and back. So this action causes the cervix to dilate until you get to that magic number 10. Now, you can often see this action, and you might remember, those of you who've been pregnant, when the bump kind of tightens, that's when this contraction up is happening. The mama's tummy gets hard and tight, appearing to lift upwards during each surge. Now, unfortunately, when a woman is nervous or tense, this team can't work well together. So why is this? Well, it's from an evolutionary point of view. It's not sensible for your body to deliver a baby if we perceive there to be a threat. The same with animals. An animal in the wild, you're at your most vulnerable when you're birthing. So your body can stop the process. So in this case, the horizontal, Jen, yes, Jen, it will be recorded and it will also be posted on YouTube. So this is a free video for anyone to access at any time. Right, so so in this case, the horizontal muscles also tense up. Now, they're unable to move upwards as the vertical muscles pull on them. So it's a bit like trying to straighten your arm with both your biceps and triceps muscles being contracted. The tension from these opposing muscles, combined with the pressure of the baby's head pressing down onto a cervix that isn't ready to open or thin, causes pain, a sensation of pain. Now, when a woman feels this pain, it confirms her worst fears that labour is about pain and the impending agony of labour is absolutely true. It heightens the state of stress that initially caused the problem. And we come on to this cycle of feedback, this fear, tension, pain syndrome. So this syndrome was coined by Grantley Dick Reed about 100 years ago. And he was an obstetrician. He worked in, I think, for the London Hospital. He worked in the slums of London, and he would work in the hospital but also go out to houses. And he was astonished when in one lady's house, a really young girl gave birth, and there was no fuss. The baby was born pretty fluidly, and he couldn't work out what the difference was. And the lady said to him, "But it wasn't supposed to hurt, doctor, was it?" She had no idea. She didn't have any fear imprints that this was supposed to hurt. And so she just let her body get on with it. Now, this fear, tension, pain syndrome is what is the loop, the typical loop that people get stuck in. This cycle is something that we work with hypnobirthing to move through, so it doesn't become an issue, so that we allow those muscles to work as they should. Now, if there are more stress hormones, there'll be more opposing muscular action. You will have a longer labour, and you will experience pain in that because you're not allowing the muscles to work as they should. I'm just going to get you to do a little example here. So take your hand and really do call it the crone hand. So if you go like this with your fingertips, and then you try to move your fingers, it's really quite difficult. If we relax this hand and then just move your fingers, feel that difference. So that's the difference in the uterine muscles. So what you'll learn in hypnobirthing is that using these breathing techniques, and listening to the reassuring audios that we practice, it's to go with each wave or surge rather than resisting it. And even if the strong sensations do cause a slight feeling of panic because you've not experienced something like this, you won't be overcome by it, because you realise that, like everything, the experience is transitory and you will come back down the other side again. So you will trust your body's ability to birth your baby as it's perfectly designed to do. Right, the second piece of key logic here is with regard to our nervous system and our hormones. So our nervous system, we have our sympathetic nervous system, we have our parasympathetic nervous system. Our sympathetic nervous system is responsible for the freeze, fight or flight. It's when we are in a state of panic. It is essential from an evolutionary point of view. You know, the saber-toothed tiger approaches. I don't know why everyone uses that example, but they do. And your eyes would be out on stalks, your heart would be beating, the blood is sent to your extremities so that you can grab that spear and fight or run, or you will freeze and play dead and hope that the danger passes. Now, adrenaline is the hormone produced in that state, and adrenaline prohibits the production of oxytocin, which is the key hormone in labour. Now, as said, the emergency response is key if you are in a life danger situation. But it's not at all useful in labour because you're not going anywhere and this baby is coming out. Now, the parasympathetic nervous system is it's our normal state. It's when we're happy, we're calm. We can trigger our parasympathetic nervous system through wonderful deep breathing. It's our rest and digest. Everything's cool. Now, oxytocin is produced when we're in the parasympathetic nervous system. Oxytocin is known as the love hormone. We produce it when we're making love. We produce the hugest spike of it ever when we have our babies. It's also called the shy hormone. So it doesn't like being observed. So the general form is have your baby in the place you created your baby. So calm, dim lights, cozy environment rather than bright lights observed where you're going to clam up. Imagine making the baby in a situation like that. It would be far less relaxing. Now, the oxytocin stimulates the workings of the uterine muscles, so it makes labour more efficient. It also stimulates the production of nature's greatest pain relief, said to be multiple times more effective than morphine, endorphins. when you're in the parasympathetic nervous system, the blood and oxygen is supplied to your internal organs. So digestive, reproductive, the baby through the placenta. So what makes the difference between sympathetic, where adrenaline is produced, and parasympathetic, where oxytocin is produced? What's the difference? This is the key. The difference is fear, worry, and stress, and being observed. Now, thinking with hypnobirthing mamas, if one woman can do it, all women can do it. The perfect system is already in place. All we need to do is get out of the way and let it work. And all the hypnobirthing practice is for us to eliminate the fear, worry and stress, and instead replace it with that parasympathetic nervous system where we are calm, safe and comfortable. So when fear is present, our fight-flight response is triggered. And as said, oxytocin and adrenaline, this is really key. They cannot be produced at the same time. One negates the other. And this is really important from an evolutionary perspective, because if there was danger, you would want the birthing process to stop so you can have the adrenaline and run. But our minds can't differentiate between a real or perceived threat. So what we need to do is fill the mind with this positivity through the hypnobirthing so that we can ride the waves and not let that fear create the spike of adrenaline, so that we aren't enabling the uterine muscles to do the work that they will so efficiently do if our mind gets out of the way and lets them get on with it. So in hypnobirthing, we are training you, your mind, your body to remain calm and relaxed no matter how your birth unfolds. So you're breathing deeply, you're going with the surges, you're producing an abundant supply of oxytocin and allowing your body to birth the way it was intended to do, with the uterine muscles perfectly working together as a pair. So let's recap. The mind can only hold one thought at a time, so we're going to fill the mind with positive thoughts. Now, we all know the law of attraction. Thought precedes reality. If we think something, we believe it into truth. The next part is that for every thought or emotion, there's a related physical response. So remember I said when someone says something embarrassing and you blush, when you have a thought, your body will react. So we're planting the positive thoughts so the body reacts by remaining calm. Now, one of the key things with hypnobirthing is that you mentally rehearse. And so we ask you to do 20 minutes of practice a day. And this practice is literally joyful practice. Now, imagine if you were a sports star and you are training for the Olympics. Would you just show up on the day of the race and go for it? No. If you were a pianist and you had an incredible concerto coming up, would you show up and just have a little go? No, you would practice. And so the practice with hypnobirthing is key. A great course is key, the practice is key. And so then on the day of the birth, you just let your body, your mind is positive, your body is therefore positive, you let your body do what it's intended to do. Now, once a thought is accepted in the mind and acted upon, the behaviour becomes easier with each subsequent thought. So once you are aware that comfortable birth is possible, you will more readily accept the premise that you're able to birth according to your own natural instincts, and the conviction becomes stronger with practice. Practice, practice, practice. The reverse, however, is also true. If a mama continues to have her fears of labour and birth reinforced with discussions of complications or well-meaning advice which isn't helping, she can lean in that direction and shut out all possibility of a serene birth. So positive repetition is the answer, and the more a mama practices with the scripts and the audios, the more adept she becomes at bringing herself into that loose, limp state of relaxation, which is so essential for a comfortable birth into the birthing zone. So, your job as a mama doing hypnobirthing is to focus on the birth you want. You are so fortunate to have the most incredible team of midwives, and their job is to focus on the what ifs and the just in cases. Now, my aim when anybody does a hypnobirthing course is to finish the course so that they are absolutely clear on and feeling enabled by the 6 C's of hypnobirthing. The 6 C's are choices, confidence, control, calm, and communication. So choices, you will be educated on all the choices, remembering you always have choices in the birth process, even when sometimes you feel like you don't. It will help you, the course helps you talk through the choices that you have, and will give you information on all the birth topics and signpost you to evidence and research so you can make an informed decision. Now there is this thing that we ask you to focus on, which is brains. Use your brains. So in terms of the choices, always remember to ask, to be quizzical. What are the benefits? What are the risks? What are the alternatives? What does my instinct, my intuition tell me? What happens if I do nothing? And the last one is smile, because when we smile, we produce oxytocin, and whoever we're smiling at produces oxytocin too. So it's a great mood improver. The second one is confidence. My dearest wish is that you have absolute confidence in your body and your ability to birth, and in your caregivers. And this confidence enables you to relax and work with your body in the way nature intended. So on the course, you learn all about the physiology of having a baby, and know how to support your mind and body through the birth process, and what's happening, of course, at each stage. Now, the next one is control. Number 3, control. So empowered with your knowledge, you can feel a key part of the decision-making process. So you make the right choices for you. Sometimes we feel like we don't have time to think about our choices because we feel rushed, or because we haven't prepared. You will be prepared with the hypnobirthing course so that you don't feel rushed and you feel empowered to make the right choice. If you feel rushed into making big decisions quickly, you feel like you've lost control, and that can lead to you not having a positive birth experience. So I want to support you to feel in control in your pregnancy, in your labour, your birth, and into parenthood. The fourth one is calm. So your mind and body work together in harmony. Now, if you breathe and relax and surround yourself with positive birth images, and there are all sorts of those that we cover. I did have one here. One's like this. So just a vision of your baby in the optimal birthing position. Positive, empowering statements. Talking about your birth wishes and preparing for birth in a way that makes you feel calm. You'll be taught relaxation techniques which help you break that fear, tension, pain cycle that we talked about. So you can quickly and efficiently bring your body and mind to a place of calm relaxation. What happens when you're in that state? You produce the oxytocin, which is the essential hormone for an efficient labour. We want you to be comfortable. This is the fifth one. So when you feel safe in your surroundings, when you're cozy, and you can do this whether you're in hospital or at home, but lights dimmed, pillows from home, pictures up, lavender oil, feeling safe in your surroundings, it's a primal instinct when you're birthing. So making sure you feel comfortable will have a massive effect on your birth experience. So the last one is communication. We want you to be so well informed and confident so that you can communicate with clarity, and that your birth partner, who is your guardian of oxytocin, so that's what their role becomes. So your birth partner can communicate with clarity and conviction on your behalf when you're in your birthing zone. So the communication is key threefold. Number one, intuitively, you communicating with yourself what feels right. Second, between the mama and the birth partner, are you on the same page? You want to be working together as an incredible team. And then last but not least, with the couple and the caregivers, where good communication is really essential. Right, so I'm going to wrap this up. in conclusion, so on a KG Hypnobirthing course, you will learn breathing techniques and visualizations that will help you work beautifully with your body in the first stage of labour, the up stage, where your uterine muscles work upwards, and the second stage of labour, the down stage, where your uterine muscles push the baby down the birth canal. Your partner will be completely on board, having learned and practiced with you. As said, they'll be your guardian of oxytocin. That is their fundamental role, and that's their place in your birth environment. You'll mentally rehearse a smooth and comfortable birth every day and imagine yourself in a warm, safe space where oxytocin is flowing. You'll practice listening to, and your partner will read you the scripts when you're in a relaxed state during pregnancy, so that the words, the music when you're listening to the audios, the sound of your partner's voice, the touch of your partner, combined with your deep breathing, are all triggers for absolute calm and relaxation, which you carry through with you into the labouring environment. So hypnobirthing is a fantastic way for you to take the ultimate responsibility for your birth. It's your body, your baby, your responsibility, your life. We remember our birth experiences forever. They are imprinted into our soul. And I think we owe it to ourselves to give us the best possible chance of a really positive, empowered birth experience. You were born to do this, mamas. So hypnobirthing changes and empowers the mama, empowers the father, and has the most profound effect on the baby who is born into a calm environment. And that lasts a lifetime. If any of you have any questions, you can tell I have such passion for this. I would dearly love to connect with you and help you further. It's my dearest wish that this beautiful practice is available to all women. I, as I say, only discovered it for my fourth baby. I wish I discovered it at the beginning, and I feel it's essential knowledge based, as I say, on sound, irrefutable logic that everybody who is considering having a baby should have accessibility to. So please share this video if you find it after this live with anybody who you feel could use the inspiration. You can connect with me. My website is joyfulmama.com. That's my, can you see that there? That probably shows up backwards on the screen, doesn't it? But it's www.joyfulmama.com. I have sessions running often, and I would really dearly love to work with you. So love and blessings for now. Any questions, please pop them to me in this live, or just message me. My contact details are on my website. And I'm just going to pop in the comments as well a really beautiful video of a hypnobirthing birth, so that you can see, as I said in this chat, birth was very visible. It used to be very visible. It isn't these days. So just have a watch of a hypnobirthing birth and see the magic in motion. Anyway, over to you to empower yourselves. It's been a joy to share this knowledge with you, and look forward to connecting with you. Goodbye for now.